I could sell to customers, I could speak to customers like non-dev talk, and then I could talk to developers with dev talk. It doesn't mean you're a bad salesperson or a bad coder. It actually means if you can sit in the middle of those two things, you're an incredible bridge, and that's quite an asset. That is rare.
People really don't realize how rare it is for an engineer to be capable of yapping.
We've got like incredible developers, and I've met so many incredible developers, and they're the smartest people in the world. But if you get them to talk to a customer, it doesn't always go well.
You initially joined Sanity not in an educator capacity. Curious how you ended up in this role and where you started.
Yeah, so I started in solution engineering, and when I saw that job post listing, it said two words in there that made me confident enough to apply for the role. It said that you must be a developer generalist. And I thought, that's me, because I'm not particularly good at anything. And I applied for the role, and what I learned, and if I can impart anything, this is like a big thing that I wish more people knew. I knew I was pretty good at talking and pretty good at coding. And because I'd run my own business for like 10 years in Australia, you know, I could sell to customers, I could speak to customers like non-dev talk, and then I could talk to developers with dev talk. What I found out when I joined Sanity is like, that doesn't mean that you're worse. Like, it doesn't mean you're a bad salesperson or a bad coder. It actually means if you can sit in the middle of those two things, you're an incredible bridge, and that's quite an asset. That is rare, as I've come to learn, is if you can be the person who could go into a meeting and talk to the chief marketing officer and the chief financial officer and the chief technical officer and not treat any of them as less than and not talk down to any of them, but very clearly communicate across those three bridges. That's it. It's a superpower. So like, I'm in awe of amazing engineering talent, and I'm in awe of like people who can see like the macro of marketing and finance and those things. But if you can be that bridge between all of them, that's absolutely a role. And that's what I found out in solution engineering, helping close deals and sell to customers.
Yeah, people really don't realize how rare it is for an engineer to be capable of yapping. I keep repeating myself on that topic, but that's really a hidden gem in a world of business.
Yeah, and I learned this, and there's no ways to say this without it sounding mean. I learned this at one point because like, I'm in awe, like amazing developers, and I can't think of a specific story for this, but we've got like incredible developers, and I've met so many incredible developers, and they're the smartest people in the world. But if you get them to talk to a customer, it doesn't always go well. And I'm like, hey, but what's happening here? You're the smartest person I know. But that doesn't translate to like a great way to sell a product. So like, yeah, like and my role then as like solution engineer or like company mascot now, I'll gladly say it, I stand on the shoulders of giants. Like, all of the work that our engineering teams do, then I get to be the face of, and I just get to say, hey, look how amazing this thing is. But like, they've done all the hard work, right? So like, I'm in awe of the work, but there is absolutely a role in being able to see that work for what it is and then communicate the value of it to a wider audience.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's because that's really what closes the deals, if you honestly think about it, because it's just taking that information, bundling it up and delivering it to like your technical team in a way that they can understand and is like native to them. So yeah, I think that's super, super valuable, especially for people. And it's rare.
Especially when you're working with a developer tool. So Sanity is developer tool forward, but it's a developer tool that you are supposed to be configuring something for end users. Like, your role is to configure TypeScript in a way that ends up in a great editing experience. So it's a constant bit of education that we have to do is like, hey, I know you love this, but if you want to use this at work, you're going to have to know how to communicate this to end users. And so in one of the courses I've written, like, we set up the studio by the defaults, you know, and everything's just default settings. And the start of the very next lesson is, hey, this works, but it sucks. Like, you think about this experience and how it could be so much better if we spent a little more time for the people who will actually use this thing at the end of the day. So
right.
Getting developers to think beyond themselves is like a really key thing.
What is your day-to-day looking like? Because I imagine this is a role that is like not super clearly defined. You get to control your schedule. You get to decide what to prioritize, what to put the roadmap for yourself. What does your day-to-day look like?
Yeah, I'm given a lot of leeway, which I'm very appreciative of at Sanity. And so, yes, and like everyone at every startup, you kind of do a bit of everything. So my day-to-day at the moment, it is going back and reviewing content, because I haven't gotten to that for a while. Something that I like redoing content. So we've got like a Shopify and Hydrogen course. I'm redoing that one again because Hydrogen has changed a bit since I last used it. I don't do a lot of like really thorough planning. That's to my detriment. I'm just not a planner. So otherwise I'd be working on instinct on what needs to be done. I'm also regularly responding to feedback that comes in on Sanity Learn. That's a big thing to me. I think is really important in a way of working with a public-facing documentation like that. Is there's zero friction to adding feedback on any lesson. It's just a big text box at the bottom of every lesson because I want to know what people are struggling with, or if there's a typo or something, and I've got a workflow to be able to fix that very quickly. So yeah, making sure that the amount of unresolved feedback is low at all times is really important. But the last 6 weeks has been writing conference talks and giving conference talks. And that's just back to back to back to back. So yeah, the job can change for months at a time or it can be quite consistent. But yeah, usually just responding to whatever the needs are at the time.
Are you leveraging AI, and how much are you leveraging AI, if you are, for content creation?
We are. I haven't found the sweet spot on like relying on it overly for generation. Everything I generate content-wise, and I know this was my talk at Next.js conference, like generating creative text is really, really difficult without spending a lot of time refining the prompts. And my talk at Next.js conference was like literally saying, like, we've got customers who've said, yes, we've spent the time and we've finally got the prompts to the degree where we think we can trust it for creative writing. I'm not there yet. I have started to explore. I use Grammarly to crack I think that's AI under the hood. I really strongly believe in Grammarly. I think it's really good. But something I am exploring, and I did a demo on this recently, is having a series of prompts pre-written that integrate with the content in Sanity to have it check for a few things, not just like our general style guide and our tone of voice. Like those are things I want to make consistent, and because that's AI will be good at that. Is we've got like 27 courses with 100 plus lessons. Getting them consistent, especially when multiple writers are involved, is difficult. So I'd like AI to be able to do that. But something else I've been thinking about recently is having it check for things like foreign concepts. So like the curse of knowledge is a big problem when you're writing educational materials, is you assume that everybody knows this thing, but not everyone knows it. So having system prompts written to check things like that is something I really want to get done with AI, so that not everything's just up to like a certain quality standard, but that the content is good educational content as well.
Yeah, I think it's a hard line to come across with, because I found, because a lot of people are like, oh, I use AI as my script editor and my script writer and stuff like that. And it's good, but it's never just been able to fully replicate or come close to like a raw script that I've written, and like the information density. There seems to always be a lot of fluff that comes in. Now, it's great for sort of that research retrieval aspect of aggregating all of these different viewpoints and stuff like that and putting them together so that way you can read those out in like an outline and then present them. But for the pure content, I mean, this is kind of what you talked about. It's like the pure content, you've got to have a good baseline for that or something to work out of. But yeah, that it is good that you're using it for stuff that kind of is AI's strength of, it's like, it's very good at repeatable results and maintaining that. But actually, if you dive into what the content means, it doesn't really excel the same way as like that top level type thing. It's kind of like in coding, where you would be just adding like a little CSS fix, is like that sort of like tone of voice modification. But then it's like, if you really want some good nitty gritty content, it's like, oh, rewrite the entire backend or something like that. I feel like it's kind of the same parallels that it draws.
Yeah, and I don't like how when you try to get AI to write with personality, it feels like completely fake. And the alternative is that it's completely wooden, right? But there's something in between. And maybe that's just like our own internal bias when we read something we know was generated by something else. But like I had an example this week. I was trying to write an email, which it was in a professional context, but I had written the words hell yeah in it. And I got AI to review this email, and it's like, hey, maybe you shouldn't say that in a professional context. I'm like, no, but I really mean it. I want to show emotion in this professional email. So yeah, I don't know if we're ever going to get the balance right on that stuff. But every time I come across those, I'm like, no, I think I'll maintain a little bit of humanity here for now, if you don't mind. But the research part is interesting too. I mean, when I'm writing about sanity, I'm writing about a topic I know a lot about, right? So I haven't had to do a lot of research, but I am researching something in the moment for a blog post just on my personal site that's well outside my wheelhouse. And I've actually really enjoyed, I'm the last person on earth to discover voice mode on ChatGPT, and like just walking the dog and talking to it about this topic I have no idea about. It's just like, it's just fascinating. So yeah, that research side of things, I think I'll definitely be making more use of AI, but it's not something I've had to do a lot with sanity so far.